Call to order this June 18th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Surprise. Sarah, may we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Perry,
Here.
Commissioner Holland,
Commissioner Holland has an excused absence.
Commissioner Leonard,
Here.
Chair Chapman,
Chair Chapman has an excused absence.
Vice Chair Spada,
Here.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Bash.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So for current events and reports, Assistant Director Fleeton, anything tonight?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Nothing from me tonight.
Okay, thank you. Then let's move on to the agenda. Sarah?
Consideration and action to approve or disapprove the May 21st, 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes.
I move to approve.
Any questions? Okay, vote please.
You need to move. I make a motion to accept the May 21st Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Motion passes with 5 votes in favor.
Thank you. Move on to the next item.
Consideration and action pertaining to a rezone of approximately 160 acres from rural residential, RR, to residential medium density, R2, for property generally located along the southwest corner of Deer Valley Road and 231st Avenue alignment.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I moved on you. These two projects tonight are my colleague Chris's. She's unable to be here, so I am filling in for her on these. So this item before you is a rezone application for a project known as Surprise 160. The subject site is located at the southwest corner of Deer Valley Road and 231st Avenue. Here you can see the various other developments in the area that are in various stages of development, with Surprise Foothills, Rancho Vista, and the southern portion of Mesquite Mountain Ranch under construction, and then the other ones further north and to the east in various stages of either zoning or platting entitlements. The subject site is approximately 160 acres and encompasses multiple parcels. The existing zoning on the site is rural residential. Surrounding zonings include Surprise Foothills PAD to the north and the west. Rural residential is to the south, and then to the east of the subject site is a combination of R2 that was recently approved, part of the Mesquite Mountain Ranch 5 rezone, as well as an additional portion of Surprise Foothills PAD. The application is requesting to rezone the property from rural residential to R2 medium density residential under the LDO. The general plan land use designation for the subject site is primarily neighborhood character area. There is a wash corridor at the northwest portion of the site that is designated open space character area. The request to R2 medium density residential is in conformance with the general plan. Due to the project's proximity to the Luke Auxiliary Field, this site is subject to the Luke graduated density concept. It is within the 0 to 6 dwelling units to the acre band of the GDC. So at absolute maximum, based off of just the gross the gross acreage and that 6 dwelling units to the acre, the most that could conceivably be built within this development is 960 units, but that doesn't take into consideration any right-of-way dedication, any flood areas on site, topographical restraints, or typical lotting practices. The development standards for the site would follow the R2 zoning district of the LDO at the time of development. This table here shows the existing development standards in the R2. At this time, we have not received any actual development proposals, so we don't have any indication as to which lot categories would be developed, but at the time of site plan or preliminary plat, these development standards would be applied to that proposal. The applicant provided this conceptual open space and lotting plan as a visual reference for what the property could potentially develop as. This shows various trail developments and connectivity in conformance with general plan and the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, as well as the LDO and the PEDS. A variety of open space areas, parks, and amenity sites, as well as connectivity to and from with the conceptual lotting and the conceptual open space areas. This image depicts the regional transportation network. So the site is located there at the southwest corner of 231st and Deer Valley Road. This property would be required to construct their half-street improvements, as well as ensure 2 points of access. And Deer Valley Road is designated as a minor arterial, and 231st is designated as a residential collector. The applicant held a citizen outreach meeting on January 14th of this year at Willow Canyon High School. There was one person in attendance. Questions that were received regarding surrounding areas, development in the area, transportation infrastructure, drainage, growth of the area, and zoning of the current property. And the applicant was able to answer all of the questions that were posed. This was also advertised in accordance with the LDO and state statute. If the commission wishes to recommend approval of this rezone, case FS 25-0750, to the mayor and city council, staff recommends that commission recommend subject to stipulations A and B.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm available for questions, and so is the applicant.
Okay. This requires a public hearing. Sarah, do we have anyone who wishes to speak?
Yes, Vice Chair. I have Rich Stutzman from Surprise.
Okay. Please.
Is this already done in your eyes?
Would you please state your name?
Richard Stutzman?
Thank you.
Is this already done? Because we keep kicking this can down the road. I've been coming to these meetings and we keep laying it out. It's the same two guys we always see. One of the biggest problems, the 163rd Avenue Grand and the 303, that was a screw up. That was a horrible mistake. And you guys are doing the exact same thing to us. 5 lights on a parkway. It's meant to be moving people along, not stop and go traffic. We keep coming back and asking that more roads put in, better roads, bigger roads, before all this construction, because you throw 3,000 or 1,000 homes in there with only one way in and out, you've created the 163rd and Grand all over again. I don't know what else to say. You guys keep doing this. Learn from this mistake. We don't need another 1,000 homes out there right now. There's not enough roadways. We've already had deaths on the parkway. Fix that problem first before any of this other goes in. All right? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sarah, anyone else to speak?
No, Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll-
Vice Chair, this the representative of the applicant, Jeff Lively.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you. Jeff Blatty, 701 North 44th Street, here on behalf of the applicant. Just wanted to touch on a few things with the project, of course. There is a development agreement that's currently been negotiated with the city, and it'll go to the city council on August 4th. It does address the transportation issues that we have to deal with, which are making sure there's adequate access into the site. We'll be extending 231st Avenue from the property down to Beardsley Road. So we'll be picking up that and completing it all the way. We'll be building Deer Valley Road across the frontage, which it doesn't exist now, and taking that'll then extend all the way over to Surprise Foothills Boulevard, which also connects down to Sun Valley Parkway. I do understand the concern with traffic signals, but traffic signals are required on Sun Valley Parkway by McDOT. We couldn't build a house until the traffic signal situation was taken care of. So this project will be contributing their pro rata share to the traffic signals. And one other thing is that given the location of this property, the water department would like a well site in this project, and so they'll be providing a well site to the city as well, and constructing the well transmission line. It's the water campus is right across the street. As Trevor pointed out, it's currently rural residential. The zoning that's being asked is R2, which is consistent with all the zoning surrounding it on all sides. It's consistent with the general plan that the voters adopted, and the neighborhood character area that it's in. We're not proposing any high-density residential or any that type of multifamily units. It's basically single-family across the board with varying lot sizes you saw in the concept plan. There's what else we have? That's about it on the project. We're here to asking for your recommendation for approval, and happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you.
When are you guys going to do the upgrades on the roads and get those set up?
I mean, all the roads are going to go in before we can build a house. So, Rancho Vista built 231st. Beardsley Road's been built over to 231st, and it goes down at 227th. Those went in with Mesquite Mountain Ranch. So before we can even build any house, we'll have to complete 231st all the way down to Beardsley. We'll have to complete Deer Valley Road to make it sure that it goes all the way back over to Surprise Foothills Boulevard. And Lennar, who's building the first phase of Surprise Foothills, has put in Surprise Foothills Boulevard. So before anything can be constructed on the site, all the roads have to be put in place. And as you've seen, we've seen a lot of zoning cases come through recently as the properties are being entitled, and it's kind of it's kind of an infill piece because of what's surrounding it. And so it's kind of critical that we get that in there so all the roads, you don't have that scallop street situation. And this will be more evident with the next case. You're seeing these cases, but these are still, some of these are like decades away. I mean, development is happening out there at a pace now. We've seen, I think Mesquite Mountain Ranch started 3-4 years ago. You know, there's some homes out there now, and it's going to gradually go north because that's where the infrastructure is. So you're not going to see, you typically aren't going to see somebody want to leapfrog because you'd have to build a lot of infrastructure to get there. So this is kind of a natural piece to fill in, as I mentioned, and they'll be taking care of all the infrastructure needs. We have a traffic impact analysis that we have to submit, and then the city approves that before we can even get to this stage. So we're doing everything that we're supposed to do, and we're consistent with what the city's long-range vision is for the area. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're saying a long ways away. Can you give me just a rough idea? Are we talking before you actually start building a home?
On this piece,
Yes.
given if we had somebody in contract today to
Mhm.
build on it, it would be 3 years. Okay, because we still have to go through preliminary plats, then we have to go through final plats, then we have to go through home product review. So some of those things can overlap, but those processes take a good year each one, and then all the infrastructure has to go in before the homes can go in. So it's a number of years before you'll see any homes on this. And frankly, we don't have any. The market's kind of slowed down right now. So the home builders are not actively buying the property right now. We have some other pieces, for instance, in Surprise Foothills Phase 2, it's better situated right now. Excuse me. So it's going to be a number of years.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Commissioner Perry.
Thank you, Chair. So, Mr. Bliley, I know that you're here for Surprise 160, but I believe that you also have represented in some other cases some of the surrounding parcels here. So, traffic is always a big problem, and I happen to live in Asante. So I'm probably more aware than most anybody is in this room with 163rd and Grant. And it is what it is, and it's been improved, but nevertheless, it's problematic. Now, Sun Valley Parkway is a different situation today only because on one side, you've got a regional park where there can't be any development. And of course, on the other side, that's where this is happening. Could you take us through what's going to happen with the roads as you theoretically envision? What has to be put in first and then next in order to get down to where this Surprise 160 is?
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what I've been around Surprise for 2.5 decades, and I was working for Surprise when the 163. It's been an issue since I worked here, and one of the big issues is because of the Burlington Northern Railroad. You don't have that situation on Sun Valley Parkway, and having only the one access point has always been the big pinch point in Spot 2. I mean, it just has been. It's gotten better, but there's a lot more homes in Spot 2 and adjacent to Grand Avenue on the other side. I mean, you just have a lot more traffic over there. And you have one access point, frankly. You don't have that here. It's a different situation. So I understand Sun Valley Parkway is going to carry a lot of traffic in the future, and it will. But they're also working on another access point out of this area, the Deer Valley Road. We already, as you all are well aware, the Desert Trails project, which was approved a few years ago, they've acquired from state land the right-of-way to build Deer Valley Road out over to Grand. So there'll be multiple access points before this project ever develops. But to answer your question, as I mentioned, what's in place today is 227th from Sun Valley Parkway up to Beardsley. Beardsley is in place to the edge of the Rancho Vista project, and I don't know if you're looking at the same map I am. Surprise Foothills Road, which is the next road down that from 227th, it kind of does that S shape. Lennar is building that. I don't know what the status of it. Maybe Lloyd knows, but I think it's under construction. They are going to take it all the way up to Deer Valley Road. They are also going to build a portion of Deer Valley Road over to the edge of their property. And so what will happen is this project will pick up Deer Valley Road where it leaves off. bring it over to 231st, and then take 231st down to where it leaves off. And you'll have a nice 2 points of circular access to get all down to Sun Valley Parkway.
So the major ways of getting the Sun Valley Parkway, once this section of this development is done, is going to be on 227th,
Correct.
and then on the yet to be constructed, on the purple that we see that is to the left. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, and that's being constructed now.
Okay, and is that a half or a full road that's being put in?
That is, the off-site portion, I believe, is just 2 travel lanes and a center turn lane. And then the portion through the project would be the full 2 median 2 through the project. And then Deer Valley Road adjacent to the project would be 2 travel lanes, the south half of a minor arterial. And then along our project, we would do the same thing, the south half of a minor arterial. I think that was answered.
Yes, good. So, yeah, thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay.
Because I know that you're specifically talking about Surprise 160, but the entire traffic circulation is always of concern to the residents in the area, and I rightly understand that. And
And I can tell you that the city staff, since what's happened in the 163rd area, has become much more diligent in requiring these multiple points of public access that are almost fully built out before you can build. I mean, that wasn't a requirement years ago. It would have been 1 point of access and maybe an emergency access or something. We have to have 2 fully functioning public access points in order to develop any property.
understood. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Any
Thank you,
other
Chair.
comments,
I'm all set.
Okay, comments or questions? Okay. Then we'll move to a vote.
So, I move to recommend approval of the rezone for Surprise 160, case FS 250750, subject to stipulations A and B as outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion passes with 5 votes in favor.
Thank you. Sarah, the next item, please.
Consideration and action pertaining to a rezone of 422 acres from the Buena Vista Ranch Planned Area Development, PAD, and Rural Residential, RR, zoning districts to a combination of residential low density, R1, residential medium density, R2, residential high density, R3, open space conservation, OS-1, and general industrial, I-2 zoning district, case FS 241191.
Okay, thank you. Trevor, please.
Thank you, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Yes, this item is a rezone application for a project known as Buena Vista Ranch. The subject site is located at the northwest corner of 227th Avenue and Pinnacle Peak, just east of the CAP Canal. The subject site encompasses approximately 422 acres. Right. The existing zoning on the site is primarily Buena Vista Ranch planned area development, with an additional rural residential parcel there on the east side of 227th Avenue. Surrounding zonings to the north, west, and east are rural residential, and then there are various zoning districts of residential zoning districts to the south. This exhibit shows the land use map from that existing Buena Vista Ranch PAD. You'll see that the development pattern here in the original PAD included higher density residential at the southwest that transitioned as it moved northeast to lower density residential. And then at the northeast corner of the overall parcel on the other side of the wash, is an existing I-2 industrial parcel. And I'll get into a little bit here shortly of the reasoning behind this development pattern. This shows the proposed zoning district. So they are proposing to rezone the property from the existing planned area development to current code LDO with associated zoning districts, as well as add in that 20-acre rural residential parcel to the east. The development pattern, for the most part, remains very similar, with R3 high-density residential at the southwest corner, transitioning into R2 medium density in the middle, and then as you move further northeast, goes into R1 low-density residential. The industrial parcel on the other side of the wash remains as I2 general industrial, and then the wash area is being designated as open space area. The land use designation of the property on this, per the general plan, is primarily neighborhood character area. There is some designated employment character areas on the property due to the proximity to the Luke Auxiliary Field, as well as open space along the wash corridor. Typically, we would not support residential being permitted or to be rezoned within the employment character area, but because there's existing entitlements for residential within there, that is being consistently carried over from the existing entitlements to the proposed rezone to residential under the LDO. So this is the exhibit showing the graduated density concept as well as the noise contours for the auxiliary field. This is influencing the development pattern that you see in the existing PAD as well as the proposed. The density maximums in the 3 different bands of the graduated density concept kind of create that limitation on the amount of dwelling units that can be permitted within those areas, and therefore influence the underlying land use designations of the PAD and the requested zoning districts under this rezone. The northeast corner is mostly within the 65 LDN, which is the reason for it being designated as industrial. The applicant provided this conceptual open space plan to show some of the potential development parcels, as well as where certain planned amenity sites and open space areas could be located, in addition to trail connectivity in compliance with the general plan and the Parks Master Plan. There's also a proposed future school site, and then it also identifies some of the existing well sites that are on the property. The applicant also provided this conceptual lotting plan to show how the property could potentially develop. This is just for visualization purposes. This is not within the rezone document, but help to give an idea of how this property could be lotted and developed in the future. And then back to the regional traffic. So this is kind of at that northern end of the Sun Valley Parkway area where development is currently happening. There's access to the property from that Surprise Foothills Boulevard coming up from the south, and then on the east side, 227th Avenue, continuing up through the property to the north. The applicant held a citizen participation meeting on January 28th of last year at Willow Canyon High School. There were 10 people in attendance. Questions that were fielded included topics of zoning, density of the project, access to the site, trails that would be provided, and infrastructure requirements. This meeting was advertised in accordance with the LDO. If the commission wishes to recommend approval of this rezone case FS 24-1191, staff recommends that the commission recommend subject to stipulations A and B. And I'm available for questions, and so is Jeff Bliley with the applicant.
Thank you, Trevor.
I
Pleasure.
received a message from, let me turn on my mic, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I received a message from Kimberly Vorosek. I don't know if I'm saying that correct, but she's a very nice lady. She lives in the area. And she was concerned about the industrial and the reasoning. So thank you for clarifying that, Trevor. That makes a lot of sense. Um, However, along Pinnacle Peak, that is where they have a well and mailboxes, and they're concerned about what this project is going to do. Her words were, she is concerned about the security of our well water and mailboxes on Pinnacle Peak. She also expresses concern, as everyone, with traffic. But most importantly, what I hear regularly about out here is there are a lot of horses and livestock, and we have city people moving into an area that has been rural. And I am just suggesting on her behalf, because she's like, we need to get the message out. Maybe we could do a social media campaign on the traffic laws when there's someone along the road on a horse. Maybe we could do signage or something, but I'm hearing that concern a lot. I think they've had some bad experiences, it sounds like. And so maybe we could consider that. Just a thought.
Thank you.
And if you can respond about the well, that's very important.
Yeah.
Did you open a public?
Yeah,
I'll defer that to the applicant.
okay, thank you. So this requires a public hearing. Sarah, do we have anyone who wishes to speak?
Yes, Vice Chair, I have two. The first will be Rich Stutzman.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Richard Stutzman. Going to try this again. The problem with this, there is only one way in and out, Sun Valley Parkway. Just because you add small roads to the parkway doesn't give you any more access into the city. On the last accident that we had, where there was, I believe, 2 casualties, Sun Valley Parkway was shut down, both directions. 4 lanes, you couldn't get into town. You had to go, in fact, they weren't even letting you go west. But the only alternative was to try to find a way to sneak back around to get on I-10 to come back into town. Hour and a half, maybe. When they tell you that there's other access, there is no other access. The Sun Valley Parkway is it. 25 years ago, when we bought out here, we were told it was going to be considered rural residential. That's all it was going to be. So we've put up with the dirt roads, and we've put up with not having to drive 30 minutes to get a gallon of milk. It still comes back to the point, you're at 163rd and Grand. Before any of that was built in there was no problem because there wasn't all those homes. There was still 163rd Avenue. There was still a Grand. And it's exactly the same thing that the Sun Valley Parkway is going to do. And you've all voted already. You've already agreed this is going to be done. It doesn't matter how many times we come in and say, you've got to have more access. You've got to have another way in and out. And just 4 roads and 5 lights going to the parkway isn't doing anything, right? Anybody?
Okay. I understand.
Sarah, I have one more to speak.
Sir, rules are that we can't engage in a conversation and open to the public. But if you're here after the meeting and you want to speak, after the meeting is over. So I want you to know, it's not that we're being cantankerous. No, sir, it's
open meeting law.
one of the open meeting laws.
Yeah, so we're not allowed to engage on the specific item that's on the agenda. So we can have discussion amongst us. We can't have dialogue back and forth. we can ask questions to the applicant or anybody that has, but we can't, it's not an open discussion.
Okay, can you ask the applicant about what I just said about there only being one access?
Again, we can't, this dialogue we can't have, so.
Sarah?
Yes, our next speaker is Mahalia Munalim.
First of all, I'm very impressed with your pronunciation. That was accurate. My name is Mahalia Munalim. I am currently living in Glendale in the Westgate Entertainment District, but I'm out here because I grew up in Surprise. I went kindergarten through 12th grade and graduated back in the good old days in 2019 from Shadow Ridge before the pandemic. Yeah, and I went to school in Baltimore, and that was my first time experiencing non-single family housing. And it was a row house, and it was very eye-opening to me, like the possibilities of housing. And since then, I think coming back to Arizona and coming back to Surprise, there's been a lot of change, there's been a lot of development, and I think ultimately like that's something that is really hard to balance. Especially hearing people like you, like it's hard to adjust to change. I have family that live in South Dakota, very rural community, but it's happening all over the country. People just need places to live. I'm 25, so people my age, like we can't afford homes. I can barely afford rent. I was living in a single family home, renting with like 2 other people, and we recently moved to a townhome because just that lease we didn't want to be in anymore, and the available leases, they were just out of our budget, and things that were in our budget were just like too far. There was a place in Surprise that we were really interested in. We even put an application in, and then they said, oh, the next day they called back and said that place is gone and there were 5 other people on the waiting list ahead of you. So all that is said just because I really like this project. I think that adding density is really important. Adding different types of housing is really important, especially for people that can't afford a single family home and maybe don't need that much space. The flexibility for young people also to kind of have more of those amenities taken care of and learn how to do the home ownership practices is really valuable. So yeah, just wanted to share that I support this project and growth in Surprise because it helps the prosperity of all future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, anyone else?
No, Vice Chair.
Then I'll close. Almost closed.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Jeff Bliley, 701 North 44th Street. Just me quickly just go over the case. This case, as Trevor pointed out, was zoned, I actually zoned it back in 2005. And so everything you see on the map today is exactly what's entitled today. We're not changing anything. As Trevor pointed out, the industrial's there because it's under the noise contours. A few things we are changing though on this map is that we've now added an open space land use designation, an actual zoning category called open space. It's not in the current plan. I know Councilmember Judd will be happy about that. It's a wildlife corridor. It's a minimum of 300 feet wide, and it leads to the crossing. And so that 20-acre piece is not designated as open space in the current plan. It is in the new plan. This project is owned by the same entities that own the Surprise Foothills project. And so we met with the school district on this project, and they preferred that there be a school site located in here. In the current plan, there is not a school site. In the new plan, there is a school site. And so we added that school site per their request. This is also a good area for wells in the city. As you know, there's the 2 wells that serve this area are both located in this project and were dedicated years ago and drilled. The city has asked us for a 3rd well site, and we will be getting that to the city as well. This project has a development agreement, just like the previous project, and it's pretty basic. It's, again, the same thing with the access points and the traffic, the roads, the contribution to the traffic signals on the Sun Valley Parkway, and then, of course, the well site. I believe there was a question regarding Pinnacle Peak. One of the things the city initially wanted us to do was build Pinnacle Peak, continue to make it that our secondary access, and we pushed back because we know that the folks that live over there really don't want Pinnacle Peak, and so we are going to build Pinnacle Peak, but only to 227th. Okay, we don't extend Pinnacle Peak further. We work through the city, and our secondary access is Surprise Foothills Boulevard through Surprise Foothills. So our 2 points of access into the site will be Surprise Foothills Boulevard, which is the one I talked about on the previous case that runs Serpentine through Surprise Foothills. And then we'll be building Pinnacle Peak over to 227th and taking it down. We do not extend Pinnacle Peak further across, okay? I know it is in the long-term plan for the city for Pinnacle Peak to extend across, but we won't be doing it. Desert Trails won't be doing it, so it's gonna come with some other project or with them. So, but at this point in time, it's not going.
Commissioner,
May I ask?
please.
So you're saying that what you're doing is not going to have an impact on that well?
Correct. We're not making any improvements to Pinnacle Peak along where what we call the desert rural area.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification.
And the reason that precipitated this change, because as I mentioned, the zoning we have in place today allows everything that we're asking for. What really precipitated it, and the map that's on the screen is appropriate, is when it was zoned, the regional transportation plan had Deer Valley Road as the parkway that went straight across. And Pinnacle Peak was a minor arterial or major arterial, I can't remember. Subsequent to zoning, the city adopted a new regional transportation plan, and you can now see Deer Valley Road heads at a northwestern angle when it gets to about 229th or whatever it is, and then it crosses the CAP canal, and that's because of the way Sun City Festival is built. So what it did is our current plan doesn't have the right roads in it, and so we needed to really amend the zoning case to make Pinnacle Peak a collector, remove it from a portion of it because it's not being built, and then so we have just mainly to address the new transportation corridor. The only addition is the 20 acres that my client did purchase at some point over the last 21 years, and we've added it to, but we've just added it as R1. There's the lowest residential. Again, everything that we did 21 years ago and we're doing today is consistent with the general plan in the area, which has always been neighborhood. We remain consistent with that plan. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Oh, and I believe there was the question on the second point of access. As I mentioned in the previous case, we are doing a second point of access. It's Deer Valley Road. Deer Valley Road will eventually, when the Desert Trails project builds, they are building Deer Valley Road from 219th over to 195th. As I previously mentioned, they've acquired the 3 miles of offsite right-of-way from state land. And before they can do their first phase, they have to build Deer Valley Road from 219th to 195th. So that will provide, I know it may not be the most, but it provides another access point, another public access point in the event of a tragic event where you have all 4 lanes of traffic blocked on Sun Valley Parkway. So that is another access point. That will be going with the very first phase of that project. And that project is platting. And this project is probably 10 years down the road because it's going to be the normal sequence of events through Surprise Foothills. And so there's 4 phases in Surprise Foothills. This is kind of like phases 5 and 6, basically. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else here? Okay, then I will officially close the public hearing and now invite our commissioners if they have any other comments or discussion. Hearing none, move to, oops.
One thing. I really hope I'm being heard that the big concern is that people who don't currently live in the area, when they move out there, do not understand the rules of the road about people on horseback. And we've got to come up with a plan. I don't know what we can do other than maybe just an informational campaign on social media or something like that. But we really do need to address that. I believe I hear this concern frequently.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval of the rezone for Buena Vista Ranch case number FS 24-1191, subject to stipulations A and B as outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion passes with 5 votes in favor.
Okay, thank you. believe that concludes both our public hearing and non-public hearing items. Any new or future business? Commissioner Parrott?
Mr. Fleetum, a question. I know that there's a future agenda item at some point and I'm not sure about data centers, and I'm not really sure what uh, what that was supposed to get into. And I'm wondering if there's been any work done on that, or specifically what work development is doing on that.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Perry. So on May 7th, Commissioner Bass had asked for us to look into data centers and bring something back. After doing some research on our code and our development standards, data centers is only mentioned twice in the zoning code. It's permitted in BP and I-1 zoning districts, and then the only other point within the code that it's mentioned is within the parking standards, and it just states that these would be subject to a parking study. So other than that, it would just follow standard processes and standard development standards per the zoning district. So beyond that, there wouldn't be anything applicable. So there wasn't really anything to provide a presentation on. I relayed that information to Commissioner Bash. But this is not a future agenda item. There is just not much in our code to present on.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, I do
Yes.
have a call to the public email.
Okay, thank you.
So we did receive an email from Mike Johnson expressing support of the battery energy storage systems. Copies have been provided to management and the commission.
Thank you. Anything else? In that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor by vote, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.